Gunshot wound. Hannah sighed at the tense sound of her husband's voice filtering down the hall from the parlor to the kitchen. Though she clearly heard the urgency in Drew's tone, she took a moment to remove the half-baked biscuits from the heavy iron stove, lest they burn before she returned. This would be the third batch of baked goods she would toss this week, so she could assist Drew in the surgery with one medical emergency or another. Biting back a frustrated sigh, she removed her cooking apron to don a fresh one. Tying the apron strings around her back, she entered the chaos of Drew's surgery room. The heavy shuffling of feet echoed in the small room as 4 men grunted under the weight of the injured man. The acrid smell of blood hit Hannah full force. She recalled the days when the odor and sight of blood caused her stomach to roil. Nearly 2 years working by Drew's side cured her of some of that sensitivity. Heart pounding rapidly, she prepared the ether cone, anticipating the forthcoming request. "Get him on the table," Drew calmly instructed the men carrying the wounded bank manager, Mr. Davis. As he turned to face her, his tone remained steady. "Hannah, I need the ether now." Hannah's breath caught in her throat as she looked into Mr. Davis's panicked eyes. Her earlier frustration vanished. Whispering words of comfort, she placed the cone over his nose and mouth, silently counting out the seconds. Around the 3rd second, his thrashing stopped and his body relaxed into an unconscious state. She let out a shaky breath, relieved by the sight. Drew's lanky form bent over Mr. Davis's left leg as he intently studied the blood-soaked trousers. Hannah offered Drew scissors, and he cut the pant leg to better see the wound. The bullet was lodged in Mr. Davis's thigh. He placed a tourniquet above the gaping hole to stop the flow of blood. Hannah mopped up what she could with rags, silently praying for their patient and for her husband's skill. As he requested the small forceps, she handed them over. Watching, she could not help but admire his steady hand and careful movements as he removed the bullet with the forceps. Gently, he removed the bullet. As she administered another dose of ether, Drew threaded a needle with his long, slender fingers, seemingly unaffected by the gravity of his task. He doused the wound to clean it before starting slow, deliberate strokes with the needle to stitch the hole shut. His concentration was so intense that he barely noticed her dabbing the sweat from his forehead. Once he finished with the stitches, he wrapped the leg in bandages before checking for other signs of injury. "I don't see any other wounds," Drew said, meeting her gaze as he washed the blood from his hands. His expression remained unreadable. "Please sit with him for a minute while I speak with the men who brought him in." As Hannah pulled up a chair next to Mr. Davis's still form, she caught most of the conversation playing out in the parlor, though slightly muffled from the distance. "Bank robbery," one of the men replied in response to Drew's query. Gasps echoed in the small parlor that served as a waiting area for patients, followed by the hiss of rapid whispering. Hannah, knowing who was scheduled for appointments, imagined their shocked faces at the unexpected announcement. "Will you let Mr. Davis's wife know he is here and resting comfortably?" Drew requested. The men replied affirmatively before the sound of their feet faded behind the closed front door. "Bank robbery," Hannah muttered, surprised someone attempted such in the middle of the day in their peaceful town. She chided herself for thinking of Cincinnati as a town. With the large number of German immigrants arriving daily to work in the meatpacking factories, her childhood home was quickly becoming a large city. She checked Mr. Davis's pulse again, which returned to normal. The faint smell of ether hung in the air, intermingled with blood, causing her to take shallow breaths. Drew returned to the room with a deep frown on his face, obviously concerned by the news. As he listened to Mr. Davis's breathing, she started cleaning and sanitizing the room and instruments, trying to hold her emotions at bay just a little longer. As soon as she finished mopping up the trail of blood from the parlor to the surgery room, she jumped at the sound of the front door bursting open again. "Philip," called out Mrs. Davis as she ran into the room. "Oh, Philip." The frail woman gasped at the sight of her pale husband sleeping. Hannah breathed a sigh of relief that she completed the cleaning before Mrs. Davis arrived, fearful for the woman's constitution.